People have been asking me the same question my whole life. Norman, how come nothing seems to bother you? How do you just not let things get to you? For years, I always gave them the same answer. Football. 11 years of taking hits. You stop flinching eventually. Reasonable answer. I believed it myself for a while. But I knew men who played longer than I did and still went out angry at their own families. So football wasn't it. Then I figured it must be age, because when you get to 96, well, the list of things worth getting worked up about gets shorter every single day. That made sense too, but I know men my age who are still going over arguments from 1987, still holding grudges against people who've been gone for 20 years. So age wasn't it either. That theory fell apart too. Back in my football days, my coach gave me a book, 1954. He handed it to me before a big game and said, "Read this when you get a chance. It'll do a lot more for you than I ever could." His name was Henderson. He'd been reading Napoleon Hill since the 1940s and had shaped his whole life around it. He could quote it from memory. He'd write Hill's words on the chalkboard before practice. The players thought it was just motivational. Henderson meant every single word of it. I took the book home and read it in 3 days. I thought I understood it, but I didn't really understand what it was trying to say until years later. Now, I could just drop a great line from the book right here, give you some empty motivation, and end the video. If I do that, you'll leave feeling good, but you'll have missed the whole point. Every person who's ever opened Think and Grow Rich has read those steps, those change your thinking ideas. But most of the people who read those steps are still reacting to everything, still scattered, still carrying things from 20 years ago. The steps don't fail because they're wrong. They fail because you can't fully understand them until something happens that forces you to. The reason I know that is Henderson. Coach Henderson retired in 1961. 23 years of coaching. Good man, respected man. His players would have torn down a wall for him. In 1958, I was 29. We lost a game we should have won. Bad call by the referee in the fourth quarter. Cost us the whole season. Anyone who was there will tell you, the call was wrong. Henderson talked about it for the rest of his life, at every reunion, every dinner. In 1974, 16 years later, I was at a dinner, and our left tackle, big guy named Russ, tried to change the subject. "Coach," he said, "that was 16 years ago." Henderson looked at him and said, "And I've been right for 16 years. Russ looked at me from across the table, just nodded and didn't say a word. Henderson passed in 1981. 23 years after that game, he was still talking about it. I picked up the book the year he passed, same copy he gave me in 1954. I don't know what made me reach for it. Maybe I just needed to hold something that was his. I opened to the page I'd underlined at 25. You are the master of your fate, the captain of your soul. 25 years between the first time I read that line and the second. Henderson had been explaining that 1958 call for all 25 of those years. Same sentence, but this time I understood something different from it. I think about him often, the man who gave me the book, the man who couldn't use it. The opposite of that sentence is also true. Every time something gets under your skin, you're choosing not to be in control. The gate is yours. Nobody opens it from the outside. If you open it, you're letting in whatever's out there. The control shifts to the other side. That's the part nobody tells you about being right. I watched the same thing happen with a business partner of mine, Gerald. We had a trucking company together for 8 years, 11 trucks by the time things fell apart. A competitor spread a false rumor about us. Gerald fought it for 3 years, wrote letters, got lawyers involved, made phone calls that went nowhere. By the time he stopped, the rumor was already dead. He sold his share to me for less than it was worth. I have a chair in my office, old green chair. Gerald used to sit in it every Tuesday when we went over the books. After he left, I moved it to storage. Didn't throw it out, just put it in a corner and didn't want to look at it anymore. That's what fighting for the wrong thing looks like when it's all said and done. Here's what I figured out from all of it. If something's bothering you, wait. Not long, an hour, maybe 2. Then look at it for what it actually is. Set aside the story you built around it. Just ask, what happened? You'll find that what's left is usually something small. The story is always bigger than the thing itself. I've never found an exception to that. Hill called this controlled attention. According to him, where you direct your mind every day is the most important decision you make. And most people make it without even realizing they are. Henderson made his decision in 1958. And he made the same decision every year until he passed. He thought he was remembering the truth. He was feeding something he couldn't stop feeding. Hill wrote, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." The mind doesn't distinguish between what you want to build and what you can't let go of. It works on all of it equally. The last time I really lost my composure, I was 61. My son told me in front of his children that I didn't know what I was talking about. I snapped back, and we didn't speak for a long time. I was right, completely right, but I went quiet about it. My wife used to say I was too proud to admit I was wrong out loud. She passed 11 years ago, and I'll tell you something. After she was gone, the things I'd been so proud about started looking very small from where I was standing. The point I had to make, a record I needed to correct. None of it stays where you left it. It follows you. Hill wrote, "Every adversity carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit." I always read that as, something good comes after something bad, eventually. It doesn't mean eventually, it means right then, in that room, the seed is already in your hands before the adversity is even over. I almost planted the wrong thing with 4 words. Most of us go through life handing over the keys and calling it something noble. Justice, standing our ground. Coach Henderson, my business partner Gerald, both of them spent years wrestling with something they couldn't let go of because they felt like their success had been taken from them. Hill called it giving away your fate. The starting point of all achievement is desire. People read that and think about what they want to build, but Hill was also writing about what you choose to protect, your attention, your peace, the part of you that nobody should be able to touch without your permission. Most of the things that bother us aren't taking anything from us. I'm 96 years old. I walked to the end of my street this morning and back. My right knee had some strong opinions about that, but I walked anyway. People still ask me that question. Truth is, plenty of things bother me, but the difference is I'm slower to open the gate than I used to be.